Hey, good morning, everybody. It is 7 a.m. Hello, hello. Good morning, everyone. Hope everybody's having a wonderful morning out there. I am a little chilly. That's why I always wear this thing because even though the heat is up, but at nighttime it kind of adjusts itself, and I think it just gets colder at night. Also, that's exciting conversation to start the morning, right? Like, thanks, John. Nobody cares. Just put on a sweater and shut up. But anyway, so today we're gonna dive into something that I thought it's always been an interesting topic to me, not just now, but since I was a little boy. Um, is the world of celebrity. So it's not that I'm fascinated by celebrities, but I've always been fascinated about how celebrities have been uh, portrayed, or how they've been supported, or how they've been uh, talked about, how the media actually gives information out. And I remember, and you all probably remember, it may even still be on. I don't have television right now. I don't We don't have a television per se. We just stream stuff. But there was a show called Entertainment Tonight, which is probably still on, right? There was a couple of another one called something in Insider. Remember that? It was called Insider. It's like you had the inside information on the celebrities and things like that. And then those were where you got to see sort of like behind the scene things, and maybe a little clip of an interview, maybe a little background on the person, or maybe a traumatic thing they're going through, or some kind of drama. It kind of goes into all that stuff, and we're living in a strange time right now. The media has shifted. The media um, now is more of a it's more of a show. The whole full media, the news networks and everything, it's owned by very few people actually, and so it's actually the narrative can be really shifted and moved around, and it's no different with celebrities. The same thing happened there. So we'll dive into a couple of things that I wrote about, and a couple of articles that I read, just to give me a little bit of a just to give you some context on where I'm going with this. But the first the first thing was the whole Britney Spears thing that I was talking about yesterday, right? So Britney Spears, as we all know, was the biggest thing ever, right? And I'm not going to show the photo that they put in here of her, because it's not a flattering photo, and she is a beautiful woman. She's 39 years old. Um, she looks great. We've seen her looking not so good at times, um, but they didn't really give her too much of um, of respect on this photo here, which is pretty kind of messed up. But so as I'm reading this article, I'm realizing here that they're talking about sources, right? They're talking about sources. They're not talking about, like their source, but they're not giving you examples of who their sources are. Now, of course, they would say, "Well, I'm a reporter, and I'm not allowed to tell you what my source is," right? That's the BS that they're using, right? And but they do have a source, right? And then that there's a little bit of a danger in that, right? And they're right. They shouldn't, the news media or anyone shouldn't give you disclose who actually is reporting, who actually gave you the source. But there has to be some, because when the courts get involved, then there has to be some type of a trace of where this information is coming from, right? And there's a little bit of a dangerous to that anyway, and that's another topic for another day. What I'm talking about here is the wordings. They use words like the third source, you know adds the so it says, So much has to happen before she can realistically have a chance of managing her life again, adds the first source. A third source says Spears won't give up. She feels this injustice has gone on long enough. So these are these sources that apparently just have spoken to her because they're quoting her saying, well, they're not quoting her, they're quoting the source. So it's a person that actually exists. But when you put things in quotes, it makes it seem like there's a legitimate conversation behind it, right? Somebody really said this stuff. And it could have been somebody in the office just saying, I don't think she's gonna give up. I think she's a strong girl. I think she's gonna continue. Can I quote you on that? Absolutely. Quote, a source said, so it can be anybody, right? They don't even know her. Now if they were to say a close friend of Britney Spears, an associate of Britney Spears, an employee of her company or her whatever her entourage, if they would have said something like that, it would have been a different thing, right? But they don't use those kind of words. So this is of course this is from Us Magazine, which I was talking about yesterday, which is pretty hilarious actually. Some of the stuff they got on here. Um, but this is the way celebrities are being covered today, right? And these magazines are really struggling today. I mean, they are. The fact that these things even still get printed and with color photos and put together, I mean, there's got to be some other income source behind it. I mean, they have, some women's products here as their sponsors, a lot of women's products. Um, yeah, just a lot of different women's products. So I guess they're catering these things to women, obviously, right? Because but the sponsors that are in here, I don't know if they're getting their money's worth. Are they getting their money's worth? Because, and one of the reasons, and one of the first things that I was going to talk about was on my list. I have four things here, and this is going to be more of a positive conversation. It's more of a positive look on, um, for especially for artists that are out there and maneuvering in this world, and seeing the cancer culture kind of take people out for whatever reason. This thing has been around for a while, right? I mean, if people don't like what you're saying, they will they will cancel you, right? Or they will suppress your communication, right? And this comes from many years ago, right? You can go back to famous court hearings from the McCarthy era where people were blacklisted, right? Because they thought they were communists, even though it could have been anybody at that time. From what I've read and from what I've seen, somebody could just say, a communist person, or this person that's been declared a communist, therefore you are a communist. It's that was how simple it is, and then you get put on the blacklist, right? And they ended careers of people that you never heard of, who might have been huge stars, who might have enriched our lives with wonderful performances, but they were squashed and put away because somebody accused them of something. Some of them might have been true, some of them might not have been true, but everyone that was accused was lumped into this one big giant uh, tub of accusations. So here's one of the things that I my first thing on my list is technology. So this is why these magazines, these papers, have really lost a lot of income, right? It lost a lot of revenue, and just in general, right? If you go, in the old days, I keep saying that, but I'm not really talking about the old days. I'm talking about like, not that long ago. If you go to the supermarket, and I'm sure some supermarkets still have this, but they had like all the magazines right there at the checkout, and they had the Inquirer, and they had the Star, and they had the all the other People magazine and Us magazine and Time magazine, and all the trashy papers that are basically owned by pretty much like one dude that sits in some mountaintop somewhere. um, and all this stuff is putting out, you know, things on celebrities, right? It's like what you don't know, the dangers of this, and the torment that she's been put through by her ex-husband. They're losing the children. And then the Inquirer would take it to a next level, right? Aliens have abducted Elvis, but they assure you he will be back. Sources say. So these magazines have been done away with basically because of technology, because of these little boxes that we carry around in our pockets, right? These things are supercomputers in comparison to anything that was around just 20 years ago, right? We can not only document ourselves on these things, right? Which a lot of people do, right? But people also can document others, and this is why celebrities have kind of been in a different light. A lot of them, you go to a concert and they tell you if you bring out your cell phone and you take a picture of me, your phone will be confiscated. They actually say that right before concerts and stuff because the 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 fear of being devalued, because I'll take a video of this and I'll put it up on YouTube or put it up on whatever. Then what ends up happening is people see it and the artist, for whatever reason, thinks that it's a bad thing and that they're insecurities and they don't want, because then they're not going to come to a concert. I mean, listen, if you're not going to go to a concert because you got to see a YouTube video, then you're not a concert goer to begin with, right? I mean, that's ridiculous. So I don't know what celebrity would actually think that if somebody sees especially when we're watching things on our phones, very rarely do we watch big screen TVs, things on YouTube things. I mean, people do that, with their smart computers and all that, but it really is a ridiculous thing to just assume that people are not going to go see your show because somebody was videotaped a clip of your show. It's not a professional. The camera is shaking. They're laughing, smiling, enjoying themselves. It's not like a professional bootleg concert that someone stole off of a board or something. For the soundboard and the filming, and it's nothing to do with that. So I know some artists actually embrace it. They say, "Bring out your phones and light it up and video this." And some artists have even used clips. If people send them in clips of their videos, they've used them in a music video of one of their songs. And they've used other the audience's recordings, which I thought was pretty cool. So, but the idea of the technology, taking away a lot of these things is not really far fetched, right? Obviously. Why would I go buy this magazine when I could just go free to an Instagram page of the celebrity? Like right here, we're talking about Friends, right? I mean, all these guys have Facebook and Instagram pages. I can go follow. I could follow Matt and find out exactly what he's doing. I could see what Courtney is doing. So it's very, very simple to find out what's happening with celebrities today. Jennifer Aniston, I mean, come on, she just started an Instagram page maybe like 2 years ago or something, and it was a big deal, and everyone was like celebrating that she's finally on Instagram. And she's great. She's been posting really cool things, and you get to see a little bit of the scoop, the real inside scoop, which is really got to be frustrating for these people that are like writing an article about saying, I think the article here was like the drama and the control freaks or something, and then when you see the article, it's like there's not really that much stuff on here, you look at some of these characters on here, it's really something else. When I'm reading these right now, I'm reading actually positive things. So the cover was really just to get you to buy it. And they don't have any inside information on anybody there. They didn't speak to any of these people. If they got any quotes from them, yeah, there's not even any quotes here. You know what I mean? Again, it says the inside. See, it says they gear up the actors. They're scrambling to get in shape. Shares the insider. So they have an insider. But you see the desperate, like, why can't they just say who it is? David Schwimmer's assistant has reported that they're really having some drama. No, they don't do that. They just throw an insider. Now, it's the insiders say they're having really a lot of drama on set. The insider says, but technology, I can go right now and check all these guys, and I'm guarantee you that they're posting positive things about their reunion together. Guarantee it. So trash. If you're reading it and you just because you, I don't know, your mind is, I don't know, you just want information maybe, or you want you like to be lied to. I don't know. Maybe some people like to be lied to, right? I mean, obviously, right? There's a lot of people out there that would rather have something more dramatic than to just have them sitting around enjoying themselves and making a really positive reunion of the Friends cast, right? They don't want that. They want to see the drama. And ooh, and people are like that, right? Talking too fast. I get excited. All right. So what's the second thing that I was going to talk about? Is the media shift, right? I talked a little bit about it earlier, right? The media changed. The media now is an entity that operates as one thing, right? And it operates where there's a opportunity to make money and to, because it's a big entity, right? They have to make money. A lot of these corporations are publicly traded companies. They have to make money for the for the board, for the investors, um, and it's just much harder for them, which is my third one. It's much harder to make money, right? So this is going to be um, money. Money is harder to make for the industry. I can't read my own writing. Money is harder to. I apologize. My throat just clogged up on me. Money is harder to make for the industry, but more money is available. So what does that mean? So basically, that's the way money was made back in not long ago, again 20 years ago, 15 years ago. The way it was made was a little bit different, right? You had a system, the Hollywood system, right? They would get celebrities, they would put them out on these magazines, make them hot, then cast them in a film together, or different things. Somebody would write a script, they would buy the script, then they would put them together. They would get a director, and then this machine would go into action, and this film would be made, edited, released, promoted again on the media, the machine, and the media would put it out. People would go see it, right? If the film cost $50 million and made $60 million, that's a failure, right? They can't afford to have $10 million profit, right? Or they have to make have double that, right? So if you spend $100 million, you have to make $300 million, 200 and something million worldwide, right? Releases. Again, it's a system, right? But here's what happened: filmmaking has become a little easier, right? I mean, even me with no money, I've made at least 6 or 7 films now. If you go onto my IMDb, you can see some of those, right? I have 2 films that I'm editing right now. One that I'm almost done with, and it'll be in festivals. Now, these aren't blockbuster budgets, right? They're not huge budgets, but they're entertaining films, and they have a message, and they have a narrative, and they have good actors, um and I'm making. You can do that 25 years ago, right? Unless you were using film, or maybe 30 years ago. I don't remember when digital started, but for me personally, I started making films in about 2010. So about 11 years ago, I started making films for the first time, and it was an amazing thing to be able to have a digital camera and to be able to shoot a scene and not like it, go back and shoot it again. And but in the old days, you had film. So film was very expensive. You had to buy the film, then you have to load the cameras very, very carefully. And I've been on film sets with film as well when I was acting prior. Um, you have to fill it up, and you have to shoot it. After you shoot it, you got to remove it very carefully. Then you got to send it so it gets processed, right? And once that gets processed, they get sent back to you, and hopefully you got a good shot, right? So it took a lot of money, it took a lot of time, it took a lot of technology, like of cutting and splicing films and editing and putting it together. It was really complicated until it went digital. When it went digital, it gave the opportunity for people like me, people like you out there to make films and to tell stories. So this is a wonderful and positive thing. But what happened to Hollywood was that now people were going to see more things. There was more opportunities to go see films. There were more films being made. There were a lot of more bad films being made, obviously, because everybody now was like, "Hey, I got a camera. I'm gonna go make a film," which is great. I think everybody should go out and make films. But the money that they were spending on these big giant budget, they were losing percentage of that. And you can see statistics on this losing because of these smaller films that happen to be made by some pretty big directors that became big directors. And suddenly now you're competing with Joe Schmo, who has a camera and but has a good eye for shooting and has a good story to tell, and people suddenly are interested. And some of these films then started making it into big festivals like the Cannes Film Festival. And I was in a film called Down on the Cross, which went to the Cannes Film Festival in 2011, and that was shot digitally. It wasn't a film, and it was edited really well, and it looked fantastic. But it got all the way up to the Cannes Film Festival, and because of that, films like that, the audience shifted. The audience shifted um, their attention to other things. They weren't just looking forward for that Will Smith July 4th opening. It was like that's the biggest thing of the year. They weren't just looking for that next De Niro or Pacino film. They are looking for those, but they were also looking for the smaller films as well, and people were more interested, and there was just more variety. Another thing that changed was streaming. Streaming platforms like Netflix and Amazon Prime and Hulu and all these platforms that are creating original content on a smaller scale, but still high quality. Because of the technology, you can have high quality films and productions now for less money, right? On a smaller scale, but still very, very good quality, great actors, great performers. And in the 80s, it's like if you were a television actor, I think they were looking down upon you. And now, like everybody wants to be on television, that because this is like you have really good, high quality shows, right? I think Breaking Bad was one of the ones that really showed that, was really like, whoa, you can really do this. So money is harder for Hollywood to make, but there's more of it because there's more opportunities for actors, for directors, for filmmakers, for writers, way more opportunities now. So now is the time for everybody to get out there and jump into this, no matter what your age is, no matter what your experience is. If you're interested in actually acting and performing, now is the time for you to get out there and start throwing your name into the hat, because that hat is huge now. There's a lot more productions going on. There's a lot more networks going on. There's a lot more need of content because of these networks, and there's more things going to be coming on. So that's actually pretty exciting. So more money is available. You just have to really decide that you want to get out there and that you really want to do this, because it does take a lot of work to become any of these things. But now is the time for you to decide, I'm going to go do that and go do it. And that's the last one. There was more opportunity because the last one, which kind of I tied it all to the other one. I only had four things I was going to talk about today. But yeah, so more opportunities are out there, way more opportunities. And I think the intimidating factor of it is the fact that we do have these boxes, and sometimes a little bit intimidating. I'm live right now, right? And a lot of people, you tell them, no, go live. I don't want to go live. I don't know what I'm going to say, well, it's practice, right? I didn't know how to do this in the beginning. If you go back and look at some of my videos from 7, 8 years ago, you'll see I didn't know what I was doing. Not that I know what I'm doing now, but I feel more confident in communicating, and I get people watching, and I get good responses for the most part. Every once in a while, I get somebody, giving me a little bit of of a ridge or of a, of a situation, but those things don't bother me. I sleep just fine with that. So it's been a wonderful experience for me, but not everyone feels comfortable with that. But with today's technology, you can film yourself doing a scene. You can do at home auditions, right? You, especially now with last year with the pandemic, people were still auditioning via the online, and there's way more opportunities. So the positive thing of all these magazines and all these things that I've been looking at, and I always try to look at the end positive, positive, no matter what, how crazy something is. I try to look at what the positive things are, right? And the positive things for this, being able to look at this and understand why they need to go this route, is because they don't have enough reach anymore. They don't have the technology anymore. They don't have they have the media that's pushing their products, right? And their films and their shows, but we can also get information from the actual source. Sometimes the director will have access to their film sets, and you get to go on there and look at their work. You get to see what the actors are doing. So we're more insider than this here. This says here that the person here says that they're working on stuff in insider ads, right? Well, this insider, I have just as much insider as that person, because I go right to the source, which is the actual actors, and to see what's happening on film sets. So that's where the wonderful thing about it is. And we have to use technology to our benefit. There's my voice again. Boy, it is Thursday, end of the week. I've been doing this all week. But anyway, all right, folks, I want to thank you all for tuning in. I appreciate you all. Again, what I'm going to do, and I'm going to take things that are currently happening, and I'm going to just do positive twists to them and look for the positivity in everything that I possibly can. Um, and hopefully this will provide some value to anybody out there, especially artists that are either sheltered and are feeling like they're not out there and they're having trouble, or artists that want to expand, or maybe just to give some ideas to an artist and say, oh, it's not a bad idea, I should try something like that. I do it all the time. I listen to people's podcasts and conversations, and I'm like, oh, that's a good idea, and that kind of sometimes shifts my viewpoint on certain things, and it gives me new perspective. So I hope this does that for you, and I hope you come back again. Tomorrow is Friday. I will be here again at 7 a.m. And hopefully you tune in. Make today great. Do the things that you love and take care of yourselves. God bless you all. And as always, peace.